Good morning, students. Today we are going to see about alternating current. First of all, let us see what is called alternating current. So, in current, we are having two types. One is direct current, another one is alternating current. So, what is called direct current? If the amplitude of the current or the magnitude of the current do not change with respect to time, and if it is a unidirectional current, that is, it flows in the same direction, then such a type of current is called direct current. For example, you consider a circuit. So we are having a battery. This is positive and this is negative. It is connected to a resistor. So because of the applied potential difference, current will flow through the circuit. When you see the direction of flow of current, it always flows in the same direction. So it always flows in the clockwise direction. So it will not change its direction. Not only that, the amount of current that flows through this circuit remains the same, or the magnitude of the current remains the same. Such a type of current is called DC current, direct current. On the other hand, if you consider the circuit of this type, so this is AC source. This AC source is connected to a circuit resistor R. At any instant of time, if this end is positive and this end is negative, because of the applied potential difference, now the current I will flow in the clockwise direction. But after some time, this polarity gets reversed. So, the positive polarity now becomes negative and the negative polarity becomes positive. And now, the current will flow in the anti-clockwise direction. So, this type, so when you see, for certain time, it is flowing in the clockwise direction. For certain other time, it flows in the anti-clockwise direction. So the direction of the flow of current through this circuit changes at a regular interval of time. Not only that, when you see the magnitude of the magnitude of the current do not remains the same. So when we represent it graphically, taking omega t along the x-axis and current along the y-axis, the magnitude of the current rise and fall at regular interval of time. Such a current is called alternating current. So this omega t can also be represented as theta. So 0, pi, 2 pi. This is called as one cycle of AC current. And the corresponding voltage, AC voltage, taking theta along the x-axis, voltage along the y-axis. This is one cycle of AC voltage. Thus we see this type of current or voltage which changes its magnitude and direction at a regular interval of time is called as AC current. This DC current is represented graphically like this, taking time and current. So DC current always remains constant. So when you consider DC current, it is not very difficult to represent the magnitude of the current. So this is the magnitude of the current. This is the magnitude. The magnitude remains constant throughout its flow. So in DC current, it is not difficult to represent the magnitude. But at the same time, when you consider AC current, the magnitude of AC current varies from time to time. So it is difficult to represent the magnitude. So in order to analyze AC circuit, or in order to do calculation regarding AC current, we need magnitude of the AC current. So how to find out the magnitude of the AC current? So usually there are several methods of representing the magnitude or finding the magnitude of the AC current. But here we are going to see two things, two methods to find the magnitude of the AC current. One is called the mean value of AC current, and another one is called the root mean square value of AC current. So these are the two ways to determine or to find out the magnitude of AC current. One is the mean value of AC current, and another one is the root mean square value of AC current. So now we are going to see how to find the mean value of AC current. How to find mean value of AC? Further, we are going to consider one cycle of AC. So this is one cycle of AC, taking theta along the x-axis and I along the y-axis. The instantaneous current is given by I is equal to Im into sin theta. This I is instantaneous current, value of AC current. Im is the maximum value of AC current, and theta is the angle. So how this AC current is produced? AC current is produced when a coil of wire is rotated in a magnetic field. So when a coil of wire is rotated with a constant angular frequency, it induces an EMF, which is alternating EMF, sinusoidal EMF, and the corresponding current is called sinusoidal current. So we are having one cycle of AC current. When we find the mean value of this AC current, it becomes 0. The reason is that for every positive value of AC current, there is negative value. So when we find mean value for one cycle of AC current, it becomes 0. So usually when we talk about mean value of AC current, it is practice to take the mean value for half of the cycle. So when I say mean value of AC current, it means it is the mean value of half of the cycle. It may be positive half cycle or negative half cycle. So now we are going to see how to find the mean value of half of the cycle of AC. For that, you consider a small strip of interval d theta, a small interval d theta. You select the midpoint in it. When we drop a perpendicular to the vertical axis, it will give the instantaneous value of the AC current. So let Im be the instantaneous value of this strip. The area of this strip is given by dA. So dA is the area of the strip. This area is equal to I into d theta, where I is the instantaneous current. That is dA is equal to Im into sin theta into d theta. So the average value of AC current, I average, is equal to sum of all currents of half cycle by length of the baseline. Length of baseline. So when we find sum of all the currents, it is equal to the area of this half cycle. So this is equal to area of half cycle by length of baseline. Length of baseline. So what is the area of this half cycle? So I average is equal to integral I into d theta between the limits 0 to pi by the length of this baseline is pi. So that is equal to integral 0 to pi Im sin theta into d theta by pi. That is equal to Im by pi integral 0 to pi sin theta into d theta. So when we integrate sin theta into d theta, we will get minus cos theta. So that is equal to Im by pi minus cos theta between the limits 0 to pi. Take this minus outside. So I average is equal to minus Im by pi. You apply the limit. Upper limit minus lower limit. So cos pi minus cos 0. So cos pi is 1, cos 0 is minus 1. So you will have minus Im by pi into minus 1 minus 1. So you will have minus 2. So you will have 2 Im by pi. That is equal to 2 Im by 3.14. So you will have 0.637 times the maximum current. So I average is equal to 0.637 times the maximum current. So this will give the average value of AC current. So thus we have to find the average value of AC current. So now let us see how to find the root mean square value of AC. So root mean square value of AC is nothing but square root of mean of the squared value of AC current. Mean of the squared value of AC current. So to find it, you consider one cycle of AC current. So as usual, taking theta along the x-axis, current along the y-axis. This is one cycle of AC. 0, pi, 2 pi. Now, when we squared it, this will give the squared value. This is I square wave. And similarly, this is the squared wave of the negative half cycle. So IRMS, as per definition, IRMS is equal to area of squared value of one cycle. Squared value of one cycle of AC by baseline, length of the baseline, whole square root. So we have to see two things. We have to find the area of the squared value of one cycle of AC. So squared value, area of squared value is equal to, as usual, you consider a small strip. So I am considering a small strip or small interval d theta. Consider the midpoint in it. It is the mid ordinate, which is equal to I square. So the area of this strip is given by I square d theta. So when we find area for one cycle of AC, it is equal to integral 0 to 2 pi I square d theta. So that is equal to integral 0 to 2 pi m into sin theta the whole square into d theta. Squaring it, integral 0 to 2 pi I square m sin square theta into d theta. Take this I square m outside. I square m integral 0 to 2 pi sin square theta into d theta. That is equal to I square m. The sin square theta can be written as 1 minus cos 2 theta by 2 into d theta between the limits 0 to 2 pi. So that is equal to I square m by 2. When integrate it, you will have theta minus sin 2 theta by 2 between the limits 0 to 2 pi. So applying the limits, I square m by 2 pi minus sin 2 into 2 pi by 2 minus 0 minus sin 2 0 by 2. So this term will become 0, the entire term will become 0. So you will have I square m by 2 into 2 pi. 2 and 2 gets cancelled. So you will have I square m into pi. But as per definition, IRMS is equal to square root of area of this is I square m by length of the baseline. Length of the baseline is 2 pi. So 2 pi. Pi and pi gets cancelled. So it will give I m by root 2. That is equal to I m by 1.414. So if you do the division, it will give IRMS is equal to 0.707 I maximum. So RMS value of AC current is 0.707 times the maximum value of AC current, and the corresponding voltage is given by VRMS is equal to 0.707 into Vm. So thus we can find the root mean square value of AC current. So next we are going to see phasor and phasor diagram. So what is a phasor? First we are going to see. So phasor is nothing but it is a vector which can rotate about the origin to represent an alternating voltage or current. So an alternating voltage or current can be represented by a vector. As usual, let us take theta along the x-axis and voltage along the y-axis. Now, the AC voltage can be represented by a phasor. So here it is a vector. So OA is a vector. This vector is called a phasor. This vector is called a phasor. When this vector is rotated along the anti-clockwise direction, for one rotation of this vector, it will produce the one cycle of waveform of the voltage. So such a vector which can be rotated about its origin to produce waveform of the alternating voltage or current is called as phasor. So how this phasor is constructed? So there are 4 rules to be followed while you are forming a phasor. So what are the things we have to see? The length of this phasor represents the magnitude of the voltage, maximum value of the voltage. Then its projection along the vertical axis will give the instantaneous voltage or current. The angle made by this phasor with the reference line, that is x-axis, will give the phase angle. Will give the phase angle. So these are the things you have to follow. So the length represents the amplitude, the maximum value of the voltage or current. The projection of this phasor along the vertical axis will give the instantaneous value. Then the angle made by this phasor with the reference lines will give the phase angle. Then when this phasor is rotated with a constant angular velocity, that angular velocity is equal to the angular frequency of the AC voltage or current. Such a vector is called phasor. Now, when this phasor is rotated with a constant angular velocity omega along the anti-clockwise direction, for one complete rotation of the phasor, it will produce one cycle of AC voltage. So, when this phasor is rotated about its origin with a constant angular velocity omega, which is equal to the angular frequency of the voltage, it will produce one cycle of AC voltage. Such a vector is called phasor. The phasor diagram will have many number of phases, and they will give phase relation between current and voltage in different AC circuits. Such a diagram is called phasor diagram. So now let us represent another phasor OB. So OB is another phasor. This represents the current. So this will be voltage, this will be current. So when this phasor is rotated in the anti-clockwise direction, it will produce the current. For example, let the two differ by theta or pi. Pi is the phase difference between this. So here current is leading the voltage. So it is represented like this. So current is leading the voltage by an angle pi. So pi is the phase difference. So this is voltage curve, this is current curve. These two curves are differ in phase by pi. So this is the phasor diagram. So expression for instantaneous voltage is equal to V is equal to Vm into sine omega t, and the corresponding current is given by I is equal to Im into sine omega t plus pi. This pi is called the phase difference between the current and voltage. Here current is leading the voltage. Suppose if current is lagging the voltage, means then V is equal to Vm into sine omega t, and I is represented by I is equal to Im into sine omega t minus pi. So this is how phasor and phasor diagram is used to represent voltage and current, and it will also tell about the phase difference between current and voltage in an electrical circuit. Thus we can construct a phasor diagram. By the study of phasor diagram, we can find what is the phase relation between current and voltage in an AC circuit. Next we are going to see AC circuit containing pure resistor. What we are going to see here, what will happen to the current and voltage when an AC source is connected to a pure resistor. So we are going to analyze it by constructing phasor diagram. Already we have seen what is called phasor diagram. So phasor diagram will have more number of phases. Each phases will represent current and voltage. They will also tell about the phase relation between current and voltage in an electrical circuit. So we are having an electrical circuit. This electrical circuit is purely resistive. Only we are having resistance. If it is so the case, when a circuit having pure resistance is connected to AC source, what is the relation between current and voltage? So we are going to analyze it by constructing phasor diagram. So due to this applied voltage, AC source, the instantaneous EMF of the AC source is given by Vm into sine omega t, and the corresponding current is given by Im into sine omega t. Since this alternating source is connected to a resistor, there is a flow of current through the resistor. So as per Ohm's law, there is a potential difference across the resistor. The potential difference across the resistor is let it be VR. So VR is equal to I into R. But I is equal to Im into sine omega t into r. So it is a closed loop. For a closed loop, we can apply Kirchhoff's second law. As per Kirchhoff's second law, the algebraic sum of EMF in a closed circuit is 0. So using that, we will have V minus VR is equal to 0, or V is equal to VR. So V is equal to VR. So Vm into sine omega t is equal to VR. So V is equal to VR. So Vm into sine omega t is equal to Im into sine omega t by R. Our current is given by Im is equal to Vm by R into sine omega t. Vm is equal to Vr, so we will have Vm by R into sine omega t. So this Vm by R can be represented by I is equal to Im into sine omega t. So when you see V is equal to Vm into sine omega t and I is equal to Im irpa. So we are going to see AC circuit containing pure resistor. So in this session what we are going to see, we are going to construct phasor diagram for this circuit. So here we are having an AC source connected to a resistor. So what will happen to the current and voltage when an AC source is connected to the resistor? That is what we are going to see here. So the instantaneous EMF is given by V is equal to Vm into sine omega t. So due to this applied instantaneous voltage, there is a flow of current. So a potential difference is created across the resistor. So for the flow of current, there should be potential difference. Let VR be the potential difference across the resistor. So this potential difference across the resistor is equal to I into R as per Ohm's law. When you see this circuit is a closed loop. For closed loop, we can apply Kirchhoff's second law, loop law. So according to Kirchhoff's second law, the algebraic sum of total EMF in a closed loop is 0. So when you find the algebraic sum of the total EMF, V minus VR is equal to 0, or V is equal to VR. That is Vm into sine omega t is equal to IR, or I is equal to Vm by R into sine omega t. Replacing this Vm by R by Im, we will have I is equal to Im into sine omega t. The equation 1 represents the instantaneous EMF, and the equation 2 represents the instantaneous current. So when we construct phasor diagram for this circuit, so we are representing two phases. So when you see instantaneous voltage, instantaneous current, they are having the same phase angle. Here also omega t, here also omega t. So it tells the current and voltage are in phase with each other. So when we represent in the form of a phasor diagram, taking theta along the x-axis, voltage and current along the y-axis, we will have OA represent the current and OB represent the voltage. So OA is one phasor OB is another phasor. They are at the same phase angle omega t. So there is no phase difference. So when we draw perpendicular, it will represent I and it will represent V. When it is rotated with an angular velocity omega in the anti-clockwise direction, for one complete rotation of this phasor, we produce current and voltage. So, when it is rotated about 2 pi, it will produce one cycle of AC current. So, current. Similarly, when OB is rotated about its origin, it will produce one cycle of AC voltage. So, current and voltage waveform is shown like this. So, what are the inferences that we get from the study of this phasor diagram? When an AC source is connected to a resistor, in that circuit, current and voltage are in phase with each other. So what is the meaning of it? In phase with each other means this current and voltage attain their maximum value at the same time, becomes zero at the same time, negative maximum at the same time, and zero at the same time. So when current increases to its maximum value, voltage will also increases to its maximum value. So when voltage on current, when they begins to decrease, both will decrease eventually and becomes zero at the same time. So current and voltage are in phase with each other when an AC source is connected to a resistor. Similarly, we are going to see what will happen when an AC source is connected to a inductor. So now we are going to consider an AC source that is connected to an inductor. So when inductor is connected, what will happen to the current and voltage? Now let us consider the AC source is connected to an inductor. The instantaneous EMF, voltage of the AC source is given by V is equal to Vm into sin omega t. So because of this applied potential difference, there is a flow of current through the inductor. Already we have seen, when current is allowed to pass through the inductor, due to self-induction, an EMF is induced. Self-induced, self-induction. So it is the property of the inductor to producing an opposing EMF when current through the inductor changes, because the current that we allowed to pass through the inductor is a time varying current. So when current changes through the inductor, the magnetic field changes. When the magnetic field changes, magnetic flux changes. When magnetic flux linked with the inductor changes, an EMF is induced. So the induced EMF, as per Faraday's law, the induced EMF is given by minus L into di by dt. Since this circuit is a closed circuit, we can apply the Kirchhoff's second law, loop law. So as per Kirchhoff's second law, we will have V plus epsilon is equal to 0, or V is equal to minus epsilon. That is Vm into sin omega t is equal to L into di by dt. So from this expression we can find the derived expression for the current. So di is given by di is equal to Vm by L sin omega t into dt. Therefore I is equal to integral di. So when we integrate di, we will have Vm by L integral sin omega t into dt. That that is equal to Vm by L minus cos omega t by omega. That is Vm by L omega. For this cos omega t, we can write it as sin omega t minus pi by 2. So, when we compare this equation with the Ohm's law, it is of the form I is equal to V by R. So, here L omega, place that when it is compared with Ohm's law, I is equal to V by R. This L omega plays the same role of resistor. This L omega is called as inductive reactance and it is represented by XL. So I can write I is equal to Vm by XL sin omega t minus pi by 2. Or I can write I is equal to Im into sin omega t minus pi by 2. So this will give the current through the inductor and this will give the potential difference across the inductor. So when you compare these two equations, in a circuit containing inductor, current is lagging the voltage by pi by 2 or voltage is leading the current by pi by 2. So how to construct phasor diagram for it? As usual, you take theta along the x-axis, current and voltage along the y-axis. So voltage is same form. So OA represents a phasor that represents the voltage. This is omega t. This is omega t. But when you consider current, current is lagging the voltage by 90 degree. So OB is current vector phasor. This is voltage phasor. So it is lagging the voltage by 90 degree. So this represents phasor of current and voltage. This tells that current is lagging the voltage by 90 degree or pi by 2 or voltage is leading the current by pi by 2. So when we draw graphical representation of the current and voltage, theta along the x-axis, voltage along the y-axis. So voltage is same 0 pi 2 pi. So when you consider the current, current is lagging. So pi by 2. So this is current curve, this is voltage curve. So this tells that current is lagging the voltage by pi by 2 or voltage is leading the current by pi by 2. How? When voltage becomes maximum, at that time current is 0. When current becomes 0, voltage becomes maximum. So voltage and current are out of phase by an angle of pi by 2. So when you see here XL, XL is playing the same role as that of a resistor. This is called as inductive reactance. Inductive reactant. Inductive reactance is nothing but it is the resistance suffered by the inductor. So it is equal to L omega. Omega is the angular frequency. So XL is equal to L into 2 pi nu. So XL is directly proportional to the frequency of AC. For DC current, frequency is 0. For DC current, frequency is 0. Therefore, inductive reactance is 0 for DC current. So it has the same value as that of the resistor. So it is measured in terms of ohm. Students, next we are going to see AC circuit containing capacitor. Here we are going to see when an AC source is connected to a capacitor, what is the phase relation between current and voltage. So we have seen when an AC circuit is connected to a resistor, both current and voltage are in phase with each other. If a AC source is connected to an inductor, voltage is leading the current or current is lagging the voltage by pi by 2. Now we are going to see what will happen to the current and voltage when an AC source is connected to a capacitor. So let us consider AC source be connected to a capacitor. The instantaneous EMF is given by V is equal to Vm into sin omega t. Due to the supplied voltage, capacitor gets charged. So the charge on the capacitor, when the capacitor gets charged, the charge on the capacitor, capacitance is given by Q is equal to C is equal to Q by V. Or the charge on the capacitor Q is equal to CV. The voltage across the capacitor is given by V is equal to Q by C. So this is the voltage across the capacitor. Now applying Kirchhoff's loop law, we will have V minus Vc is equal to 0. That is Vm into sin omega t is equal to Q by C. Or Q is equal to C into Vm into sin omega t. But current is defined as I is equal to dq by dt. That is d by dt of C into Vm into sin omega t. That is equal to C into Vm d by dt of sin omega t, which is equal to C into Vm cos omega t into omega. Or I can say Vm into C omega cos omega t. This cos omega t can be written as Vm into C omega, or I can write this as 1 by C omega into sin omega t plus pi by 2. So when this equation is compared to I is equal to V by R, in the place of R you are having 1 by C omega. This presence of 1 by C omega plays the same role as that of a resistor, and hence this resistance offered by the capacitor is called capacitive reactance, and it is represented by Xc. So I can write I is equal to Vm by Xc sin omega t plus pi by 2. Or writing in standard form, I is equal to Im into sin omega t plus pi by 2. So this is the current through the capacitor, and this is the potential difference across the capacitor. When you compare these two equations, when an AC source is connected to a capacitor, current is leading the voltage, or voltage is lagging the current. So when we draw phasor diagram, we will have, so as usual, take theta, current and voltage. So this is voltage vector OA, OA, and this is current vector OB. This is omega T, this is pi by 2. Current is, this is I, this is V. Current is leading the voltage by pi by 2, or voltage is lagging the current by pi by 2. This is phasor diagram. So when we represent it graphically taking theta, voltage and current, this is voltage as usual, this is current. So current, voltage. Current is leading the voltage by pi by 2 and voltage is lagging the current by pi by 2. So thus we see that when an AC circuit is connected to a capacitor, current is leading the voltage or voltage is lagging the current by pi by 2. So when you see this capacity reactance, Xc is equal to 1 by C into 2 pi mu. So Xc is inversely proportional to frequency. For DC, frequency is equal to 0. Therefore, for DC current, capacitive reactance is infinite. So since for DC current capacitive reactance is infinite, capacitor will not allow DC current to flow through it, because for DC current capacitive reactance is infinite resistance. Thus we see that when an AC circuit is connected to a capacitor, current is leading the voltage or voltage is lagging the current. So thus we have seen three types. When AC is connected to a resistor, current and voltage are in phase. When AC source is connected to an inductor, voltage is leading the current by pi by 2. When an AC source is connected to a capacitor, current is leading the voltage by pi by 2.